Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a review of the Logitech G502X LIGHTSPEED, part of Logitech's new G502X line. They have a wired version, they have this wireless version, which comes in at 100 grams, and then they have the G502X Plus, which has RGB, weighs I think like 5-7 grams more, and is $20 more. I just thought it's stupid to pay $20 more for RGB and a few extra grams, so I just went with this model. And honestly, this is probably going to be a short review because if you are familiar with the G502, especially the LIGHTSPEED, this isn't really offering anything different. The biggest change is the Lightforce switches, which are Logitech's optical switches. I'm interested to see if they implement them into something like a GPX, but honestly, if I did not know these were optical switches, I would guess they're mechanical. They sound the exact same as Logitech's standard Omron switches. They might not sound the exact same, but in terms of sound and feel compared to other optical switches, these are a very crisp and have an actual tactile response. There's no dullness or a mushy feeling. Logitech says that they're a hybrid optical and mechanical switch. I don't know if they have actual mechanical contacts and then just the optical method for actuation, but it's pretty solid, I can't lie. And since these switches are optical, there is obviously no possibility of them double clicking. Whenever I post about Logitech, people are like, oh, but it's going to double click. It physically cannot double click. So there is that. And like I said, these feel closer to a actual mechanical switch, nearly one-to-one with the G502's Omrons. So switches definitely get the pass, and aside from that, really nothing changed with this G502. They have an option to make the sniper button inactuatable. There's probably a way better word I could have said there, but yeah, you can take this off and snap the sniper button in if you want, but if you don't use it, you don't have to have the button there. That's some true Logitech G innovation. Other than that, there are still the two buttons on the clicks. Thank God. They're still clicking it up. I don't know if cheaters put macros there, but whatever your use case is, it's an option. The scroll wheel, they did change it a bit. They made the wheel a bit more a bit less loose feeling, a bit tighter, a bit more defined steps when it's just a standard wheel, and then of course they do keep the free spinning based epic wheel for all of the free spin lovers. I think they did change the mechanism though to make it a bit lighter. Perhaps you can click the scroll wheel to each side. You can tell how much fun I'm having reviewing this mouse. The build quality is really solid all around. No issues with side flexing, no rattling or creaking. It's a Logitech product, and a 100-gram Logitech product at that. Obviously this thing's going to be built well. The weight, like I mentioned, is 100 grams, which does make this the lightest wireless G502 that they've ever put out. It's also lighter than the old wired G502 Hero, and basically just a better product in every way. I would say that this is more so a G502 refresh to get people who have been on older G502 models to just upgrade to the new thing. Similar to the Basilisk V3 Pro that Razer just dropped. These mice are really similar, features and functionality wise. The G502X is going to be cheaper, but of course with Razer you can get up to 4000 hertz polling rate. I'm not gonna lie, Razer's optical switches with 4K hertz polling rate versus Logitech's opticals with 1K hertz, I was not noticing the difference in any type of clicking scenario I was doing on Kovacs, any in-game situations. So if you think there's going to be a massive noticeable performance difference between the Basilisk V3 Pro and the G502X, it's really not going to be there. The G502 is just over 10 grams lighter than the new Basilisk as well. And since the G502 is a much larger mouse than the Basilisk, it has a way better feeling in terms of balance and just weight distribution. So I would say that if you are looking to get one of these mice for FPS, which I don't really recommend to begin with, the G502X will be a more nimble and just better feeling mouse in the hand, in my opinion. I'm sure there are some people who prefer the Basilisk. The other differences between these mice are pretty minor, like the fact that the G502 has buttons on the clicks while the Basilisk does not. The Basilisk has a Bluetooth mode as well, which will probably come in clutch for some people, and is compatible with the 4000 hertz dock, which you can bundle with the mouse. But really, I don't think you need above 1000 hertz polling rate on a mouse above 100 grams. That's going to be my hot take. Logitech did update the stock skates on this mouse as well, and they aren't great. They are just a pretty standard PTFE experience. This is a super fast pad, so it's not really accurate. On a more standard pad like the Artisan Zero, these are a pretty controlled PTFE stock skate. They're better than the old like black Teflon skates Logitech used to use, but I would not say that these are aftermarket level quality. And when aftermarket options do release, if you use this mouse, it will feel significantly lighter if you throw on something like Tiger Ice. And if you do use an X-Soft pad with a mouse like this heavy, it probably will feel like it's sinking in. The sensor is Logitech's flagship 25.6K DPI sub-micron tracking light speed sensor, and it's solid, obviously. At 1000 hertz polling rate, the battery life is incredible on this model with no RGB. Like, it's literally gone down 15% in over like a week since I've had it now, so I don't even know. So the battery life is definitely elite. I'm sure they threw a fucking huge battery in this thing, but yeah, I don't really know what else I have to say. Oh yeah, it is using USB-C. Is this the first Logitech mouse to use USB-C? That's kind of legendary. Everything else about this mouse is just a G502 refreshed, not really adding too much. The shape, if you are familiar with the G502 shape, you will be familiar with this in the hand. The side grips are not too aggressive. It's just like nice and rubberized. It feels pretty comfortable. This is honestly the best G502 I have used so far. It's better than the G502 LIGHTSPEED, slightly lighter. The optical switch implementation is really good. As I mentioned before, there's no notable quality issues with any of the buttons on the mouse. All of the tensioning and quality stuff is solid. But at the end of the day, I'm not recommending anybody to spend $140 on this when you could get something like a GPX and, in my opinion, have a far better experience for FPS. But if you are looking for a mouse of this form factor, then I honestly don't have many bad things to say about it. The wired version at $80 would be a recommendation of mine, but Logitech is still using the shitty rubber stock cable, so I don't recommend that at all. I also don't recommend paying $160 for the G502X Plus edition unless you really want the RGB, because I think having the better battery life, slightly lower weight, and lower price on this model just makes the most sense. But yeah, that's going to be all for this review. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and sub. Sorry if this was not super in-depth. It is hard to go into a G502 refresh review like this is the first time I've ever used this mouse. This thing has been out for practically a decade. But yeah, any comments, leave them below, and peace.